Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to set up oversampling and how to enter cost benefit values, okay, in SAS. So we're going to use this new data set called churn for this purpose, and we will talk more about churn later on, okay, what that data set is about. But right now, all we are interested in is figuring out how to set up oversampling and how to set up decision values. Okay. Okay. So download that data set. So I'm going to create a data source for churn. Okay. And okay. Now I'm going to, we will look at more closely what roles and for the columns, for the predictors, and which predictors must be rejected, what must be kept. Okay, we will do all that later on. So right now, the only thing that we are going to change is churn. Okay, and we'll make that into a target. Churn here means customer churning away or canceling their contract, or not, a customer ceases to be a customer. Okay. So that's called churn. A churn of 1 here is that we have lost the customer. So we will look at the other predictors more closely in a later chapter. Okay. For now, we will only make this one change. Okay. And now, see, we come to step 6. You see decision processing. Okay, this is where we can adjust for several things here actually. So if you leave this at no and click next, you just bypass that and move on. Okay. But if you change it to yes, then the decision processing screen will appear. Okay. And here there are several things that we can do. So decision processing for what target? So if you have more than one target, those target columns will be listed here. Okay, and if you want to refresh, you can refresh. Okay. Then you can set up what is called prior probability. Okay, and prior probability is again a very important adjustment that we did not talk about very close. Well, we did talk about it, but this will be when your data, when the data comes in already oversampled. Okay, so that's when this will make sense. Okay, suppose if you have a data set that has equal number of events and non-events. So here the data coming in has 483 events, churns, and 2850 non-events. Okay, about 15% to 85%. And this is the original data. Okay, but suppose if the company sent you a data file that is already oversampled, like 50-50. So the count is 2850 true, 2850 false. But you know that only 15% is true. So in that case, you can change the prior probability. Okay, you click this button here and you can go and change it. Okay, that makes sense? So if you have the raw data, then usually this is not something you would do. Okay, because raw data will have your prior probability, or the prior probability that SAS automatically computes will be the true prior probability. But if the incoming data set is already oversampled, then the prior probabilities that you will see SAS computing is going to be 50-50, which is not the actual original prior probabilities. If that is the case, then you would change it like that. But we're going to set it back to no, because our data set that we have truly reflects the prior probability. Okay. These are the two tabs where we can set up the decision and decision weights. Okay, so here there are two decisions for true or false. If it is churn, okay, this is churn, so we can say we're going to make an offer discount. So you're predicting that this is going to be an event. This particular record is going to be an event, which means what? We have to take some kind of mitigating action. So we don't want to lose the customer, so we're going to offer some special discount. Okay. Now, this has to follow SAS naming convention. Okay. And of course, if it is a non-event, your action is ignored. Okay. So here you will only set up these names. It is in decision weights that you will enter your okay. So here we have an event. Suppose the cost of, if the actual record turns out to be an event, so if you offer discount, let's assume that you're going to have a value of $100. Okay. And if the event that you predicted as an event is actually non-event, that customer is not going to churn. Okay. And let's assume that then it will be the discount that you offer is worth $2 of cost. I don't know. These are just costs that I'm just making up. Okay. So if you ignore, there is no cost form. Okay. We already talked about how to set up opportunity cost or profit cost benefit kind of approach. So depending upon what you want, you will set it up here in that fashion. So if it is opportunity cost, your decision function will be minimized and not maximized. If it is cost benefit, so if you're coding benefit as a positive number, then you will do maximize. Okay, and then click next. So now what has happened is this profit and cost information has become part of your data source. Okay, so I'm going to illustrate how to do oversampling here. So we're going to start with the churn data set. Now, by the way, you have forgotten to do the decision coding, okay, and you want to come back and do it. So then you bring the data set here, and here is the ellipsis with which you can get back to this screen for data decision processing. So we did the decision processing when we created the data source. Suppose if you've forgotten to do it when you created a data source and you want to go back and do it again, you do it at a later time, then that's how you would do it. So you highlight the data set and then click decisions. That will open up the screen for you.